Guys, thank you so much. And I'm in agreement that that will happen to you. But I think if you do get that $1 million, you got to think about using the right platform. So today we're going to be talking about maximizing your donations with the right platform. I'm Aretha Simons. I'm the webinar producer here. I'm going to show you how you can engage on the next slide. You know that Zoom has upgraded. And so when you click on the closed caption, you can do it in Spanish, French, all those different languages. So I think that's pretty cool. We're going to send you the video replay and the slides probably later today or early in the morning if you don't get them later today. So if you have a question, please put it in the chat or the Q&A. Prefer the Q&A, but there's team members here that can answer them in the chat. I'm going to move out of the way and turn this over to TAP Network. This is going to be an excellent webinar, and keep dreaming big, guys. I'll see you on the next webinar. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Aretha. I'll do some quick intros on us and on TAP Network. My name is Kyle Barkins. I'm one of the co-founders here at TAP. I'm joined today by Zach Patton on our team, who's our MarTech specialist. He can answer pretty much any question as it comes to marketing, technology, and a lot of the things we'll probably cover today. And then Jason Spangler has joined us as well. He's our director of business development. He works directly with the nonprofit organizations that we support. Helps you answer all the questions that that might come up as far as like what's the right platform for my organization, how can you all help with different services. And he's been here at TAP for almost 3 years, so very well versed there. Just a quick agenda for today. I'll give you the background on TAP. We'll cover what is the donation platform. I'm sure you all know what that is, but kind of how we look at things. Analyzing like the donor journey and mapping the donor journey, looking at some different software solutions that are out there for donations, and then also for CRM, for customer relationship management. And then kind of wrap things up looking at how we can engage with donors once they've donated, even before, during, and after donation, and really turn them into evangelists for us. What that ideal setup could look like, and then how to get started. So a quick background on TAP. We've been around for 14 years now, going on 15 years. We started to help serve nonprofit and mission-driven organizations, the organizations that really do good. My background, my partner here at TAP's background, both in the enterprise space at doing different things. Mine's more in software and application development. His was much more in marketing and branding. We kind of combined those things and started to build a team here. We could serve organizations that are really doing good, taking some of the things, the learnings from these bigger businesses, and our background and our team's experience, and applying that in the nonprofit space and leveraging technology all along the way to do that. We've been a partner with TechSoup since probably 2015, 2016. We're the agency with TechSoup. So if you get the emails from them, if you get, end up on the landing pages, a lot of the products and things like that, that is all at some point crossed our desk, so to speak, whether we created it, coded it up, developed it, put the system in place that powers it. That comes from us. And then they have since 2017. We've been the service provider that you'll see when you go through TechSoup's website for things like marketing services, anything digital marketing oriented, website development, and now in the past couple of years, AI. TAP as a whole, we also, we provide everything from strategy to PR, and then really anything in between, whether that's technical or marketing focused. I'm not going to read everything off on this slide to you, but you can check out our website, check out things on TechSoup's website to learn more about that. Before we dive in, just a quick poll from you all. You can answer this right in the chat. I'm going to open the chat up so I can actually see it on my other screen. What best describes your current donation platform situation? So A, we don't have one. B, we use one, but we want to improve it. C, we're very happy with our system. Or D, we're here today because we're not really sure what to use. So I'll give you a few to answer that. And if you've got some contextual feedback you want to share, feel free to add that in the chat as well. Maybe we'll be able to get to that today on the call. So a lot, we use one, but we want to improve, or some people don't even have one yet. So hopefully, coming out of today, we'll have some more, we'll spark some interest and maybe answer some of these questions for you. But pretty much what we're expecting to see. I think if anybody says, we're happy with our system, probably wouldn't have joined the call today. So the people that are looking for ways to improve, that's what, certainly here to help answer those questions and maybe point you in the right direction. Oops, sorry, Zach.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. So just going to backpedal a little bit. So let's get started by sort of asking the question, what is a donation platform? So when we're talking about a donation platform, Kyle, if you want to move to the next slide, we're really talking about the tool that powers the online giving for your organization. So you want to think of it as the engine under the hood for your website's donate button, right? So it does so much more than just take payments. A good donation platform will let you accept both one-time gifts and then also recurring donations. Those recurring donations are especially valuable for nonprofits because they'll create steady and predictable income over time, right? Um, Modern donors, when you're going to donate on a website or wherever it may be, you really want to expect convenience and security. So platforms today, like the ones that we're going to talk through, they'll allow payments through credit card, PayPal, Apple Pay. And these are options that'll meet your donors where they are and then make giving for them as easy as buying something online, right? So we want that to be super easy and convenient for them, right? And then automation is another huge time saver. So instead of manually sending receipts or manually sending confirmations, the donation platform that you select or the platforms that you integrate it with can take care of those steps easily and instantly, right? So donors will be able to get those receipts, get those confirmations, and feel appreciated right away. And then finally, you want your platforms to sync with your website and your CRM. So that means that all of your data flows from one system to another, making it easier to track and manage those relationships over time. If I'll move to the next slide there, Kyle. So a donation platform is super important because, again, it benefits both your donors and your team. So for donors, it'll be a smooth, mobile-friendly experience that will build trust and increase the chance that they complete their gift. And if the process feels complicated or clunky, people will often abandon it, very similar to if they're going to be purchasing something online. If it's complicated, if it's not working properly, they might just abandon it and go somewhere else. From having familiar payment options like PayPal or Apple Pay. I'll just turn up my mic here, see if it's maxed out. There, this might be a bit better now. Having familiar payment options like PayPal or Apple Pay, when people see those familiar options, it will also reduce friction and make giving feel a little bit more natural. For your team, on your side of things, automation will reduce the time spent manually entering donations, sending confirmations. So that will free up your staff and free up your team to focus on more mission-driven work rather than just all that paperwork and back-end work. Having accurate real-time data will also improve your ability to segment your donors, report on your results, and then make your properly informed decisions. Integrating your platform with your CRM or your email tools will also help you retain donors by keeping that communication organized and consistent, right? So we talked about those automations. You'll also be able to gain those valuable insights into what's working, what's not working, where you can grow, and how to better engage your supporters over time. So essentially, the right donation platform will support both sides of your nonprofit. It'll improve the donor's first impression and first experience with you, while it'll also strengthen your internal processes behind the scenes.
Talk through the donor journey. So when we look at these things, we're kind of looking stuff end to end, like just like we showed how TAP can help, how it support you all. And as Zach was mentioning, it's not just the payment platform. We're looking at the donor journey, everything from start to finish. So not just the transaction. So where do they find out about you? So that would be through something you guys are doing from an awareness stage. So this could be an email, maybe a social post you put out there, maybe an ad, maybe something in the community, and they learn about your organization. And before they even start thinking about donating, they learn about what the organization does, who the organization serves. So all that is in that awareness stage. That gets them, then once you've gotten in front of them and you're starting to engage with them, it's the consideration aspect of it. So they're looking at like your mission, the impact you have, and they start to think, I'm just going to use a really basic example. I just adopted a dog a few weeks ago. At some point, maybe I'll hold her up on the screen and you'll be able to see what she looks like. But she was part of a rescue organization. So, I'd seen pictures of her, seen that, I'd seen this organization before. They're finding ways, to collect donations for foster homes for the animals, or to do these different events. So in the consideration phase, I've started to say, okay, I see this organization, I see they're local, I see they're placing these dogs in good homes. Maybe I'm gonna think about, donating to them or maybe adopting the dog. So when we talk about donations, we're literally not just talking about like that transaction. Like I'm now actually a donor to that organization because I, paid the adoption fee and things like that. So it's more than just that initial donation. So consideration phase, thought about it, looked at the dog, looked at the organization, saw that they do good work. And now I've said, okay, I'm going to do something to donate to this organization. And then the transaction, right, is me bringing the dog home. That's that conversion phase, right, where I've gone, picked up the dog, paid the payment, done the stuff online. They had a pretty well put together like platform, all things considered. Looking at it from my lens, I could certainly help them. Saw ways to help them improve, but that journey that they drove me through is kind of what got me to there, right? And then after that, I'm sitting here today, they've sent follow-up emails to me and said, thanks for doing it. Thanks for adopting this dog. How's the dog doing? They put pictures of me on their social media with the dog when I brought her home, like all these little things that they've done sort of after the fact to really cultivate that relationship. And as a result of that, I share that on my own social media, and I've told my, the people at our company about that. I've told my friends, and I've sitting here today telling you all about the organization as well. And that's the ultimate goal of like driving someone through this full donor journey. So having that platform set up is a great way not to just collect those donations, but really strengthen and improve that relationship with people over the time, like they have done and are doing with me. So I just kind of talked through how this works, but just as like this is really typical kind of marketing, right? So everything from top of the funnel, we're attracting new donors, attracting new people to support your organization, and this kind of walks through like the different aspects of that. So social media, SEO, so search engine optimization, and even more recently, like generative engine optimization, which would be things like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude. So when people are searching for things, about what your organization serves or what your mission is, you want to show up in those search results as well. PR, media coverage, anything like local that's pushed out. We'll call this more earned media. Certainly, there's ad spend involved here too. So you could do things like Google ad spend. Or other paid ad campaigns, but just thinking organically, this is a great way to drive new people into the top of that funnel. Then you're starting to nurture them through by building trust. So that gets them to the middle of the funnel. So this is where you have, you're sure you have to have an optimized, mission-focused website. So someone sees you, maybe they see an ad or see an ad or hear an ad on the radio or see something on social media. Like, wow, I want to learn more about this organization. You want to make sure you drop them off on a place that has some of those answers, and they can learn more about you. And really no better place to do that than on your website. So making sure that your website has the most recent information about you. It's optimized for whatever type of device they're coming from. And then once they're there, they're able to get more details. And you can do that through something like a chat bot on the website where you can answer questions in real time. You can ask them to, subscribe to updates where you could send out like an automated email series. You could, have a form there where they could just ask to learn more, which is very common. At this phase, there's just kind of, let's just say kind of kicking the tires, but they're interested in engaging with you, but they're not quite ready to donate. So certainly you should have a donation form on the website. Certainly you should have a donation button, but it's probably unrealistic to expect someone to go from a social media ad or something they saw, out in public to just donating right away. So it's really about starting to build the trust there. And one of the better ways to do that is to make sure that you're able to get them into a CRM. So you're able to learn, who they are, where they came from, and then be able to segment them over time. So we can say, hey, in my example, maybe I wanted to adopt the dog, but maybe somebody else wants to just donate to the organization because they've done that in the past. Then we move them further down the funnel to the conversion stage where we're really inspiring them to take some type of action. That would be through those donation forms. That would be through reaching out to them from where you collected their information in a CRM and being able to personalize outreach to them. It's like, hey, Kyle, I saw you've donated, or I saw you've adopted from us before. Can we count on you for a donation this year to support other foster homes and things like that for animals like my dog's name is Playa, so animals like Playa. So being able to personalize that, and you're only able to do that if you either know that person personally and you can call them and say, hey, we talked about this last time, or if you have that information in the CRM and you can and personalize that either automated or just by looking at the CRM and sending out direct emails, whatever works best and scales for you. And then there's of course being able to put some money behind this and doing things like retargeting ads. Retargeting is where someone comes to your website. This is like the creepy stuff you see on the internet where you're like, man, I looked at that website 3 weeks ago and I keep getting ads about that same company. That's all retargeting ads. It's, they know that you've been there before and they're able to put some money behind, trying to get you to come back. And if this all works out well, you adopt the dog, you make the donation, you contribute to the organization, you sign up for an event. We want to make sure that we're able to grow that over time and retain that person. So we do that by we are able to build loyalty by just continuing to recognize them, to reach out to them. Like I said, in my example, they were like reached out and said, hey, take a picture of your dog in your new home, send it to us, we'll put it on our social media account. And like, I'm sure not everybody does that. My wife was all about that. So she's like, oh, we got to take a picture of us with the dog, the new dog and the old dog. We sent it to them, and like within a day or two, they'd put us up there with like a collage of other people that had adopted dogs recently. So it kind of makes, then you want to share that with your friends or your family and show like, oh, look, there's like, here's a brother and sister or whatever that got adopted as well. But then it makes you, kind of builds that connection with them. Very low lift for them, pretty automated in like how they reached out. Like it was certainly like a templated email. It's like, thanks for adopting, blah blah blah, like send us a picture of your dog, and like they have a mechanism on their in their organization that allows them to kind of go out there and do that. But then they can continue to do that next year. So now they've got a picture of myself, my wife, our two dogs now. If they do this right, next year they send me an email and they say, hey, how's Ply enjoyed her home for the last year? Happy first birthday or first adoption anniversary. Very low lift. And then they're just telling me like, we could use support of a person from you for our organization. $5 goes to buy like food for a dog for a week, or $50 goes to buy food for 10 dogs for a week or something like that. And just a great way to stay engaged with me and really be able to personalize with me to ask for like those recurring gifts and build that loyalty. So that was all, kind of like, for instance, the way we do this when we work with our clients, with organizations, is we want to map everything to that user journey. So you can see across the top are all those different phases we just sort of talked through. How do we take someone from awareness all the way down to, promoter? So looking at doing like an audit of what you have currently and what you're able to do. So, some organizations can do all these things, that's a very volunteer heavy organization. So they have the benefit of being able to have a lot of people do a lot of things for them across multiple platforms. But yours might be more simple than this. It might be something like just a couple social media posts and emails that you can push out, drive somebody to a simple web page, send them a simple newsletter or donor request. They donate, and then you have a few different pieces of follow-up after that. Just doing an audit of like what you have currently, and then mapping out where those things fit within that user journey will then allow you to see where the holes are, and then also be able to track that backwards to see, okay, what's actually working out very well. So, we certainly will recommend and work with any organization to do this in the very early stages of looking at what that journey looks like for you long term. So we've got that journey all mapped out. Then it's about how do we get it out there, and one of the kind of the starting and ending point often are the different donation software you guys have chosen. As a lot of you responded, you're already using donation software, but you want to optimize it, or maybe you're not happy with it, or you're trying to pick it out. So this is where we go through sort of how to do that. So when we're looking at things from our perspective and looking at it, as a steward for our client, here's a few of the things on here are like what to look for in a donation platform. So there's plenty out there. There's some that you can just go get a PayPal button, put it on your website. That could be quote unquote a donation platform. You might have things that, accept a donation and will send a quick thank you email and it'll go to your bank account. That could be a donation platform. But as you're looking to scale and sort of take some of that manual lift off of your plate, so maybe you want to get stuff out of a spreadsheet, maybe you want to get things out of just your email box. We're looking for things that really are that scalable, maybe not all in one donation platform, but can do a few different things for you and take some of that time off your plate. So the first thing is being sure that there's recurring donation support. This is super important because, some of your best donors are going to be the ones that, or some of the highest donors are going to be ones that have donated to you in the past. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of data out there that will show that they will likely contribute more than they do the first time that they donate. So their first one might be just kind of dipping their toe in. Here's $20, here's $25. But then once you're able to get recurring donations from them, you're able to get more from them over time and really increase that wallet share per person. Being sure it's mobile and then ADA compliant, so that makes sure it's accessible to anyone from any device, or or as many devices as possible, especially as you start to think about like the different causes you serve, and if that's even more relevant to some organizations than others. Branding it for yourself so that when you're able to, you want to really build trust with someone. So nothing's worse than saying, hey, donate to my organization, and it's got your logo and everything across the top of your website, and they saw you on social media, and then you drop them off on some page, and it's just a blank form, a blank page, and it looks like something super sketchy, especially with all the scams and things like that that go around, all the easy pass texts and things like that we get, that look like that. It's super important to make sure you're keeping your brand consistent. So you want to make sure your logo's on there, it's on a secure page. It matches sort of the colors. It looks like the same look and feel that they would expect to see engaging with your organization. Certainly of importance is making sure it integrates with your CRM. So if it just goes to a form and it goes to your PayPal account, then you got to take it download it from your PayPal account, move it over to MailChimp or Constant Contact, send that out through Constant Contact, go back to PayPal the next day, see if you've got new donors, and kind of move all that stuff around. Not very well integrated, ton of like legwork on your end. So having a CRM that either is part of it or integrates with that, it's going to make that a lot more seamless for you all to say, hey, this person donated, we followed up with them, we're able to, ask for recurring donations or send them receipts or whatever it is ongoing. Reporting and analytics of just back to like the donation, like the donor journey mapping. We want to know what they're doing, like what the journey looks like. We also want to know how it's working. So being sure that you're able to report on things, looking at things that are, more high level, like where did this donation come from? How much is the donation? Who donated? And then more granular, like what's the best time of day to request a donation? What's the most what's the level of donation someone's most likely to donate, time of year, things like that. Being able to look at that is going to give you a better view of how you can improve, or how you can fix holes in that donation funnel. And then some optional add-ons, like kind of looking at how this works within the rest of your ecosystem as a whole. So maybe you're doing things like collecting event registrations or event ticketing, doing things like peer-to-peer fundraising. So creating teams, like very often you'll see this when people do like 5Ks, or like they're raising for a certain cause. They'll create a team and they'll ask their their peers to get involved, and they'll share that stuff. Or doing things like tribute donations, so being able to donate on behalf of someone else or in tribute to someone. And then automation, a lot of times you'll see this even more now with especially as part of the CRM. So if it's integrated with the CRM, and that CRM has some automation tools built in, you've kind of got that already there. But if you're looking for like an all-in-one platform, being sure there's some automation, at least some high-level automation built in, so you can send things like thank you emails, follow up with them like within some time frame of last time they donated, or like an anniversary. So I was talking about sending things out like a birthday email or something like that. You certainly don't want to be doing that manually. So you don't want to say, okay, I'm going to send an email out to everybody who donated last year. I'm going to do that every month or something like that. You can automate a lot of that. And if you can find that in a platform, that's going to be the kind of the gold standard. So some examples of like different levels of these platforms that work well for nonprofits and are either free or very, very inexpensive to get into. We've listed here. We can certainly provide other examples, following this call. One's called GiveWP. So if you've got a WordPress hosted website, this is sort of our favorite to use there. It's very easy to integrate on your website. I think the screenshot in one of the earlier slides is from GiveWP. It looks, it's mobile responsive out of the box. It meets ADA compliance out of the box. You can brand it very easily for your organization. It lives right in your website, so it's not taking them to some other place. And then it has a lot of that stuff that built in we just talked about. So you can do like recurring donations. It's very easy to use, and it has some of the automation built into it. It also tracks people, so it can also be like a very rudimentary CRM. It can work certainly for small and even medium sized like nonprofits that don't have like other things going on in another system they need to pull this data into. But it also does integrate well with other external CRMs. It's a tool called GiveButter that you'll see that is really good for like fundraising campaigns. So this is a separate platform, but it can integrate with a number of different tools. It can integrate with like Zapier, so that gives you access to thousands of different platforms right there. but this one's a little bit better for things like the fundraising campaigns, doing like peer-to-peer fundraising, and it has like event ticketing and stuff like that built in too. And I believe that is free or very, very inexpensive to get set up on, and they just charge a fee for like payment processing. You process like the donations through there. And then lastly, I think what I was saying, like very kind of rudimentary, easy way to get started though is using PayPal. So, tons of people trust PayPal, use PayPal every day. But this gives you the ability to quickly get like a donation form or a donation button set up. And what is nice about PayPal is you got to kind of connect the dots a little bit, but you can connect it to a bunch of different platforms. So it'll often work with different CRMs, and you can see like all the payments that come in. You just have to be able to kind of see the forest through the trees, so to speak, to know that like a payment's a donation. And it is nice because you can set up things like subscription. So the subscription could be a recurring donation, and they can easily manage that from their end. And I'll turn it back
Awesome.
over to
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I'm going to get into CRM a little bit. So customer relationship management. I know Kyle touched on this a little bit, but we're going to cover this a little bit more in depth now. So what really happens after somebody donates? The donation isn't going to be the end of the process. You don't want it to be the end of the process. It can really be the beginning of the relationship with the person who's donating to your organization. So how you follow up after that initial donation plays a huge role in whether somebody's going to give again, somebody's going to tell a friend, somebody's going to adopt a dog from your organization, like Kyle was talking about. Those follow-ups really play a huge role in that. So a good system will send a good system, when you have it set up properly, will send an instant confirmation email to the donor, so they immediately feel acknowledged and appreciated, right? So they'll get that receipt separately, but you really want to be sending them like a thank you email right after they donate. So the CRM will also log the gift in your system, right? So you can have accurate records, and you can look back over the history, over how many donations you had last month, this quarter, right? You won't need to enter any of that information manually, right? So I know lots of organizations will track that information manually on spreadsheets, or even like on a notepad. They'll see a donation come in, they'll write it down. With a CRM that's integrated with your donation system, that'll all be automated, right? So you won't have to do any of that manual work. From there, you can trigger a welcome series of emails or thoughtful follow-up messages as the weeks go on, as the months go on, kind of like how Kyle was talking about. A couple weeks after that he donated or he adopted the dog, they sent him an email saying, hey, send us a photo of you and your dog. Probably get one in a year or so, and then a couple years down the road as well. Those follow-ups really will make your donors feel connected to your organization and connected to your mission, and then it'll keep your name in their head, right? So as time goes on, the system can also support that further outreach by using their giving history, so you know how to re-engage donors. So you may want to re-engage somebody a little bit different if they've donated $20 versus if they've donated $1,000, right? So with your CRM, you can look at that information and send those emails automatically based on what they've done in the past, right? I'm going to move to a quick poll here. So how are you currently, Kyle, if you want to move to the next slide, how are you currently managing donor relationships and tracking donations? Do you have a CRM that's already existing, like HubSpot, Little Green Light, Salesforce? There's so many different out there. Do you have a CRM, but it's not connected to your donation tool? Are you manually tracking everything? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here, just trying to see where everybody is at. So a little bit, seeing some A's, C's, B's, so a little bit of everything. Some organizations have CRMs, obviously, that are great and set up. Some people are just in that initial startup phase, which there's no issue with at all. Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, seeing lots of A's, lots of C's. So moving into the next slide here, why does your nonprofit need a CRM? So we talked about a little bit about those automations, tracking that information. The biggest thing is it can help you organize and track your relationships, not just with your donors, but you can also transition to use your CRM for your volunteers and your other supporters, not just those donors. So it'll allow you to manage those donations, also allow you to manage your email campaigns, event registrations, all of your reporting all in one place. Instead of juggling those different systems, you have MailChimp in one hand, you have your spreadsheets in another hand, you have maybe a volunteer registration system in another. A great CRM will allow you to have that all in one place. Again, like we've talked about a few times here, it'll also be able to automate some of those tasks for you, not just those follow-up emails. You can set reminders, you can set tasks. It'll help you keep your engagement strong and keep everything super consistent without adding any more work to your plate. And the best thing about any of your CRM options, whether it's like a small one or a very large one, as your organization grows, your subscriptions and your accounts can grow within those CRMs. So a great CRM will scale with you, allowing you to manage those relationships more effectively and then just keep focused on your mission, because that's the most important part. Our favorite CRM, we've talked about it a few times, is HubSpot. Kyle, just for the next slide here. HubSpot is an excellent choice for nonprofits due to its scalability and customizability. So as we talked about that scalability of the CRM. So as your nonprofit grows, HubSpot can grow with you without that need for extra complexity. It'll combine your marketing, fundraising, and donor engagement tools all under one roof, helping you streamline your outreach. And then the automation tools in HubSpot are great. It allows you to automate workflows, emails, and follow-ups to maintain that engagement without any of that manual work. It also integrates great with WordPress, with any of these other systems. I know I think there's 1,000 plus, maybe even a couple thousand different systems that HubSpot has a list of where HubSpot can integrate with it, whether it be a donation platform, a website, anything really, HubSpot will be able to connect to. At the end of the day, we wouldn't speak so highly of a piece of software like HubSpot if we didn't use it or believe in it. Personally, even outside of work, I've been using HubSpot for over 5 years. We've dabbled in many other CRMs. Can't really see myself using or recommending another one. So yeah, HubSpot is that one for us. Getting into some other options now. Obviously, HubSpot is a great option, but there are many other tools that may suit your nonprofit's needs a little bit better. Salesforce is one, highly customizable. It can handle those complex processes, but it does require quite a bit more setup and ongoing management. Salesforce is also quite a bit more expensive than some of these other options. Neon CRM is great for fundraising and membership management if those are your focus. Little Green Light, I saw some people in the chat are saying that they use Little Green Light. Definitely budget conscious, and it offers simple and affordable donor management tools. And then Kindful is another option that's pretty good for fundraising and donor engagement with those robust integration options that we kind of talked about with HubSpot. So Kindful is integratable with many other systems. So once you have your CRM in place, it is very important to use it effectively. You want to start by keeping your contact database clean. So you want to regularly update it and audit your data to make sure that you don't have duplicates, you don't have any inactive records in there. And if you do have inactive records, maybe you want to do like a re-engagement campaign to those people. You want to segment your audience based on if they're a donor, if they're a volunteer, if they're just a supporter. It's really important to personalize your outreach and then increase the relevance of your content. You want to, again, take advantage of those automation tools to automate your things like thank you emails, receipts, donation confirmations. This will help you save time and keep your supporters engaged. And then finally, we want to regularly review your CRM's reporting features to track that donor engagement, your fundraising performance, and identify areas for improvement. So reporting is a huge part of any nonprofit. Obviously, when you're applying for grants, when you're applying for, when you're trying to get donations, when you're trying to just look back and see how your organization has been performing, so many of these data points and data and analytics, once everything is connected to your CRM, it'll be super easy to see all that in one place, which is great too. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the software that you're using is meant to make your job easier and save you time. Going to move into email marketing and automation now. So email marketing is super essential. It allows you to directly engage with your most important supporters, whether it be your donors, your volunteers, any other stakeholders. And with email, you can maintain that consistent and targeted communication that will really help build and nurture your relationships over time. So it's also a really cost-effective way to reach your audience in masses compared to other forms of marketing. You can track performance with your emails with those built-in metrics such as your open rates, your click-through rates, your donation tracking. Kind of see where people are going from your emails. If there's one link that you're putting in all your emails and nobody's clicking on it, maybe it's time to change things up a bit, right? So those analytics and those data points from your email marketing tool will really make it easier to evaluate the success of your campaigns and improve that engagement over time. So there's lots of different email marketing platforms that work well for nonprofits. MailChimp is one that's super common, affordable, user-friendly with those integration options for your donation platforms. HubSpot, we've already touched on a lot. Again, all-in-one solution with that email marketing automation, CRM, powerful reporting. If you're focused on a little bit more simplicity, Constant Contact is a great option, especially for managing your newsletters, your events. And then a more advanced automation and personalization features ActiveCampaign is a solid choice. You really do want to, again, when you're selecting any of your platforms, whether it be a donation platform, a CRM, email marketing, you really want to focus on your nonprofit's goals, your audience, and keep that budget in mind when you're selecting a platform, because some of these can get super expensive. Some of them are just right where you want to be. And then some of them are, yeah, they might be free, but they might not have any of those advanced capabilities that you need. So with automation for email marketing, so I know we've touched on this quite a few times. I'm just going to make this super brief, but automating email sequences for things like thank you notes, event reminders, onboarding, things like that. Those are all things that can be automated within your email marketing tool. You really want to set as much up as you can that is automated. So ultimately, you're not going to have to do those manual processes. You don't need to send them your handbook, anything like that. It's like say you're onboarding somebody as a volunteer. If you can just enroll that person in a sequence that will send them their 3 pieces of information that they need, that could save you a ton of time over time. And then some best practices for email marketing. Just getting to the next slide here. We have a few different best practices here. One is personalization. So you can use your donor data, such as past donations or event participation, to tailor your emails. Even something as simple as having their first name in the subject line or in the first line of the email goes a long way for that personalization. Segmentation is also another key to success here. You can create targeted lists based on donor behavior or demographics, or whether whether they've made a small donation versus a large donation. Deliverability is also super crucial. So you want to make sure that your emails aren't ending up in the spam folder. For people, you really want to make sure that your lists are clean and people who you're sending emails to are opening them, they're being delivered, people are interacting with your emails. And then lastly, A/B testing is another great option for email marketing. Maybe you're not too sure of what your email content should be. You can test different subject lines, see which one performs best, and then use that knowledge in the future for when you're sending your future emails.
Thanks, Zach. So now we'll talk through kind of like what we think is like the ideal setup for working with hundreds or even thousands of nonprofits at this point and seeing all the different kind of scenarios. So we want to look at this like not just donation, like this is as we started to talk through, how does this serve more than just one purpose? So we're looking at this as like a marketing technology stack, and some of our recommendations would be, having your website on a scalable platform like WordPress, which allows you to really highly customize it. There's hundreds of thousands of different themes and plugins. So you really have a lot more than you would have in something like Wix or Squarespace, or some of the more templated sites or programs that are out there. Great ways to get started. Certainly depends on what you want from your organization long term. But we're big proponents of WordPress here. You can really scale with your nonprofit. We've given you some examples today of different plugins or tools that work directly with WordPress. More than half of the websites on the internet at this point are on WordPress. You can keep it really secure, and it has like a great developer community. What we really like about it though is how easy it is to integrate with different tools, like platforms we talked about today, like CRMs, like HubSpot, like donation platforms. Moving from there, like CRM and email marketing, you've heard us talk about HubSpot, as we've said. When we first started working with HubSpot, it was just an email automation platform. That was back in 2013. They've grown now to where it can sustain pretty much every aspect of an enterprise organization. We've got websites, platforms, things on there that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in payment processing and things like that, which we never would have thought about doing before, 10 years ago and things like that. And it manages really pretty much every aspect of that. But what's core to that is the CRM. So being able to manage, who the people are that are using that system, making sure that we're able to use contextual content, and even now using AI tools to be able to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time, whether that's through the website, through CRM, or through email marketing or other digital touch points as well. One thing I mentioned AI, but what's really nice about that now too is being able to, with some of the tools that are either out of the box in HubSpot or else able to plug into HubSpot, you can do a lot to do things like uncover, common patterns that you see across your donor network, or even identify like what the ideal donor profile looks like, so you can go out there and find other donors. You can also use it for things like content generation. So as you're seeing what people are asking, as you're seeing what people are doing, how people are engaging with your site, you can use some of the AI tools to generate content on the fly, whether that's going to be specific to a user and what they're doing, or on a page itself. So it's like generated specific to what they would be doing there. And then donation software, if you're not going to try to like kind of quote unquote build your own, if you want to integrate with something else, we really like GiveButter, as we mentioned earlier. It's nice because it gives you those different options. It can stand alone. So we talked about GiveWP, that would be probably our recommendation if it's just on WordPress. GiveButter is sort of website platform agnostic, so to speak. And it's nice because you have those different giving options we talked about. There's text to give capabilities, recurring giving, one-time giving, peer-to-peer, like all the main, like all the, I guess, kind of all the options we talked about earlier. You certainly don't want to bite off more than you can chew. So one of the biggest mistakes we see a lot of organizations make is they look at something that has everything, but they don't have the capacity to do everything. So being able to focus on something, but also look at something that can scale with you long term is super important. And we certainly think GiveButter can do that. For what we'll go through right now, how like we can have, we talked about like the ideal setup. We can also talk about like, this is probably very daunting, but also how you can help get started and how we can help you get started. So, we work, as we said, TAP works with TechSoup very closely to support these nonprofits and on their donor journeys, but also on their overall technology and marketing journeys. So we do have a couple things you'll see, and I was just going to bring this up, like if you go to TechSoup's website, let me get rid of this little cool chat I was going to show you guys. But if you were to go to like services and then drop down and find like digital marketing services, AI for nonprofits, or website services, they're all going to bring you to kind of our section of the site, which goes through some of the different services that we offer, things we talked about today, the ability to reach out to us and learn more. This little chat bot, if you have any questions, is a great way to just engage with us in real time and see some more about like what the capabilities are. We offer some sort of out of the box packages. So there's an upgrade package. Either one of these packages gets you 10 hours of support and like unlimited requests each month. And it's really the entire, you have access to an entire marketing and technology team, basically. These are very well positioned for people that like the upgrade platform is really great if like you kind of know what you want to do, but maybe don't have the team to execute it, or don't have like each piece of the team to execute it. So you just work directly with us. We work like an extension of your team. The premium package and then custom packages that would go up would be, much larger than this, that could take on more, are much better when you want like a dedicated account manager. So maybe you don't even know what you want to do or what your, your kind of goal is. So you have access to a member of our team here specific to you. So we're not going to pass you around the different account managers or anything like that. We find one that fits you and your organization the best, assign them to you, and then they help work with you on so a little bit more custom solutions there for you. We talked about, a website being certainly the base of this, and if you don't have a website that tells who you are, what you do, really establishes your mission, you're kind of leaving people out there hung out to dry. We have websites that start smaller than this, but this is like our custom website. starts at about $15,000. They're all these growth-driven websites, which means that we take a look at what you have now, what your goals are, what you want to do. We put like the sort of the best foot forward and build a scalable platform that allow you to grow over time. And this would be a custom design. So we're not using a template. We're designing this specifically for you all. It's designed specifically for your users and your audience. So we look at the things like that donor journey. We help you map all that out. We map out all your content. We put it into like I said, a scalable platform, and this would be built on WordPress. So, reach out to us if that's something that's on your radar, or that's something you're looking to do now, or something you're planning for in 2026 or beyond. With that custom website, this is just sort of the process we follow. So I was talking through, like, we work with you on strategy. So we do all the discovery, audit your content. We develop a scope of work and tell you exactly what we're going to build for you and how we're going to build it. We build out like a information architecture, so site structure, you all outline the user experience, and then design that custom design for you. We develop it on WordPress, so it's custom developed using the best in breed tools, though, best in breed plugins or like underlying code, so that it becomes scalable. And then we QA, we test it and launch, and then we do training with you all as well. Every site we build so that we can just turn it over to somebody else, like to you all. So you don't need to have a lot of technical expertise to maintain things. You don't have to say, hey, Kyle, I need to move this picture around, or I need to add a new page, or I need to add a new person, or something like that. So we certainly, we build this, it's scalable for you all, but we can also stay engaged long term as well. So right now, I think last time I looked, we have 260 nonprofits that we service every single day on for something in a website. But in the last 6 or 7 years, we've pushed out or managed about over 1,000 websites for nonprofit organizations. So it kind of shows you, like, a lot of these guys, these companies that are like, I want to handle it on my own, they end up coming back to us and they say, we just want you to manage it for us. Like, we want to go back to, I keep using the dog analogy, but like, we want to go back to, fostering homes for dogs. We don't need to be the technical experts here managing our website. For this webinar, we do have a special though on that. I know we showed you the sticker shock $15,000 custom website price. We do offer a nonprofit starter website, which would be same sort of methodology, just fast track built on our process. Starts at $5,000. This is a more templated approach. Certainly not a template website. We're not going to grab a template off ThemeForest or something like that and installing it for you. We were building it from the ground up, but it's in a templated fashion. So, it follows sort of that template approach. Again, same thing, best in breed tools and website design. What you don't get here though is, like, we're not bringing a designer in, having them hand design, and then us hand coding that site for you. So it will be very much your look and feel. I can show you a bunch of examples of these. You wouldn't think they're like a quote unquote template, but they certainly are. So you'll get access to this this recording. You'll get access to this slide, and if you click the little button that says schedule a consultation, or if you reach out on that page that Jason will share in the chat, you just mention this and we can talk about that special too. And then I've seen some questions about HubSpot. We also have a HubSpot offer. We are offering 10% off HubSpot implementation. And then we also will work with you to get your HubSpot onboarding fee waived. So that fee is typically a minimum of $1,500, and it's required to be paid up front, just for anybody that gets on HubSpot. And then there's onboarding services that they offer. We can get that waived for you guys. If you guys just let us know you saw this on this webinar, you booked a consultation through us. And then we'll also give you a 10% off our implementation services too. So we can share what those look like, just so you can see what that looks like for your organization as well. So that's starting at like typically $3,500 for like a full CRM implementation. That would be using Sales Hub, but like we can scale this up or down based on what tools and hubs you end up with. But for everything we talked through today, this is probably means like a Sales Hub implementation, Marketing Hub, and then maybe even the Content Hub. We would get started with you on.
With those HubSpot subscriptions too, I know lots of people get into the HubSpot conversation, and then they see that the subscription costs are maybe a little bit higher than what they were wishing for. But as a HubSpot Platinum partner, we're able to negotiate those subscription costs with HubSpot as well. So typically what we'll see is anywhere around 40% discount for the subscription cost for nonprofits once approved. But I've even seen upwards of 65% discount.
Yeah, that's a great point, Zach. So we actually helped HubSpot launch the HubSpot partnership with TechSoup, and then they, unfortunately have kind of gone away from that and just gone more enterprise level as far as just being able to service any customer. But we are still able to get right in, like Zach said, to those partnership discounts and those nonprofit discounts, and work on your guys' behalf if you guys are interested in just see what that looks like. I do see some questions coming through. I know we've got about 10 minutes left, right? So I'll start picking a few of these off. Somebody just, if you guys can put those in, it would be easy to put, if you guys can put them in the Q&A box that you guys will see, but I will try to read backwards. So I'm gonna start there and I'll try to read backwards through the chat as well. So somebody asked, for nonprofits, what's the advantage of WordPress over a less technical platform like Wix? I could do this all day. I think it's like the scalability and like the not quote unquote one size fits all, one size fits most thing that you'll get with something like Wix or Squarespace, where I know there's a lot of scalable capabilities in Wix, but you don't have direct access to manipulate every single piece of it. You don't have the ability to build like custom applications directly on it the same way you would with something like WordPress. And what I think is a bigger kind of selling point is like WordPress is whatever you make it, right? And then Wix is like whatever you build on it, right? Same thing with something like Salesforce, where I saw some questions in there. Like Salesforce is a great platform, super powerful, but everybody has to customize it specifically for them. It's hard, you need to have probably a lot more technical understanding to build that, and it's cost prohibitive, like for the different levels of features. WordPress isn't really like that, like Wix is. Wix is like, if you want these other features, you got to pay more per month. WordPress, a lot of that stuff you can get started, if you're comfortable installing a few things, working maybe in a template or a theme or something like that, even with very minimal or even almost no technical understanding, you could probably get started on WordPress. And then it's just the level of customization you want to make to it. Somebody said, you're $8.99 monthly for a year each year. Once we're set up, what is the value of continuing? That's what you make of it too. No, it's $8.99 a month. There's no annual commitment to it. That's for a monthly service. As I said, we work with a number of nonprofit organizations that take full advantage of this, and they just, they don't need an internal team, an internal marketing person, internal technology people. That's really good for small and mid-sized nonprofit organizations who don't have the capacity to do that. I wouldn't say that's a great solution for a larger organization. You're gonna need more of our team and our time, but that's what that one is. Do you have any recommendations for taking payments at an event? We want to be able to accept payment for items, memberships, donations. Yeah, so I do think GiveButter has an option for that, but certainly something like PayPal. PayPal, you can charge people at an event. They have if you set their account up, I actually think you can I know you can do it on your phone without even getting like a card reader, but for a very affordable rate, if it's not one of the specials they include it, where they accept card payments, they have like a tap thing where you could just set up little products in PayPal, and then people can buy them there. Square is also a really good option, or if you want to get even more advanced, so that you can have like a Square card reader. They have the option, like you can add like a cash register drawers and things like that onto those things as well, so you can have like receipt printers depending on what you're doing at the event. Then I'm going to go as I can through here backwards. So somebody said, could you differentiate small versus medium versus large nonprofit for the context of analyzing CRM options? I'm actually not sure where we fit. Yeah, I certainly. So I think, we always want to do, like, I'd always say for a small nonprofit, like starting out, you can probably use something like MailChimp, something very, very affordable as a CRM. It has the ability for you to collect, who's signing up, and it has the ability for you to collect forms. You could also do this in a website. So Wix would have this, capability. WordPress using like a thing like Gravity Forms and a way to manage like the people, like the users, would be how you'd want to set that up. But that becomes either like almost free or very inexpensive, and then can grow with you. But it just depends on like where you're going to be. There's certainly nonprofit organizations that are small by design, going to stay small and local. And that's a perfect scenario for them. Again, don't bite off more than you can chew. And then there's larger one, medium to larger nonprofits. It's really what you need and what you can handle. HubSpot, I would say, is very one size can fit all, depending on what you need from the platform. Like if you really don't need a lot of like the capability, like the more enhanced capabilities, even if you're a large organization, you can use one of the more basic versions of HubSpot, because this like that doesn't have a lot of custom fields and a lot of automation built in for like the free or like the starter version. And then you can scale as you grow, as you need to. So you can add more fields, add more capabilities within there. There are other things like you could use something like Airtable. Airtable would allow you, it's not a CRM per se, but it has a lot of CRM capabilities into it. You can build, donor screens, you can build donor profiles and things like that. And then you just have to know how to sort of work with that system. That becomes like more familiar than like to using something like Excel or a spreadsheet. And then on up from there, it depends on really what you want to do with the CRM. Even with the discounts, so we've asked about HubSpot, are expensive for small nonprofits. Yeah, I mean, it certainly can be. I think that's why I would look at the type of things that that your nonprofit needs and see if HubSpot really is that right solution for you. I will also say I do understand that HubSpot like has that sticker price that can be expensive, but if you think about the time that you're able to save working between platforms, and then if you start to add up the different platforms you use, I don't know what the number is now. I do know when we did this some of these webinars like last year. I think the average organization was using something like 35 different pieces of technology to accomplish their mission. And when we go through and audit these with people, we'll often strip that down to under 10 by putting in a tool like HubSpot or putting in a system that can tie these things together. So yeah, it might seem like, oh, but let's just say HubSpot's $1,000 a month. But if you have 35 tools and you're paying $10 a month for one and $25 a month for one and $100 a month for one, that price adds up pretty quickly, and the time it takes you to keep those things aligned also does as well. So we asked, do we have to pay for services with Tap in order to get that 40% discount on HubSpot? No, there's no like requirement of that. Like we're certainly here to help you get set up and get started. If you guys need onboarding services, we recommend working with us. In order to get the onboarding fee waived, you have to sign like a thing that just says you're working with Tap, but we don't really have to. If you guys are capable of doing that, certainly capable of doing that on your own. We just want to help nonprofit organizations get on there and get you guys on the right tool, right platform. We got a couple minutes left. Are there any more questions? If you want to put them in the chat. Cool. All right. I will give you guys a couple minutes back. I appreciate everybody's time today and the questions you all had. Is very engaging. If you have any more questions for us, you'll have access to these slides, or as I said, you can just reach out directly right through the website. And then Jason actually just shared his meeting link through the chat as well.